Hello and welcome to another special episode of the Restream. My name is Amelia and I will be your host. And today we have very special and very cool guest, so I hope you guys are ready. I'm joined, as always, by Alicia Kozera, the Senior Community Manager.
Hey, guys.
And like I mentioned, we have two super cool guests. So please welcome Boris Pugacz-Moreszkiewicz, our English Adaptation Director.
Morning.
And we have the one and only Minji Chang, our actress of Songbird.
Hi, everyone. So it's very fitting room to be having you, Minji, as a guest. It's like a spice hideout if you look around yourself. So how are you today?
I don't feel like this is real. I don't know that I'm in Poland right now with you guys. This is a dream come true. So I'm having a great time. Little jet lagged.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah. Hopefully it will get better.
yeah, it'll get better. No.
And Boris, you meet Minji for the first time.
Finally, yes, face to face. We've spent many hours together online.
On Zoom.
On Zoom. With Minji behind the microphone, sweating it out, and me being picky about word emphasis.
But that's what I
like
think is
that,
so
yeah.
great is to hear that nitpickiness. It's great. That's artistry. For
Yes,
us.
for sure.
So today we'll be talking about the game, your career, your collaboration together, and of course about Phantom Liberty and Cyberpunk.
And Songbird.
And Songbird, yes. When we first met, you mentioned to me that the gaming world is something new and fresh to you.
Yeah.
So, now that you're part of this world, how does it feel to be, part of this community, Cyberpunk?
Being part of the game, I'm really, really like humbled. I don't know. It's such a different universe. It feels really foreign to me for a lot of reasons. And everyone's just been so kind. And everyone's been really so enthusiastic, even if they hate my character. But they all appreciate, the game so much, and they appreciate all the work that went into it. And just seeing that enthusiasm from everybody, I'm in love. It just, again, doesn't feel real, because I never thought I'd be part of it. So, yeah, it feels great.
So you actually mentioned that some people hate your character. And I feel like Songbird is this, you either love her or you hate her. And how
Yeah.
do you feel about it? I mean, you can be a little biased, of course.
I love her. But no, I get, based on how people interact with the game, of course, they're going to interact with her differently and get to know her in different capacities. It's not fun to be hated, but as an artist, I think it's great that the character creates a strong reaction. I think that's like the goal of any actor, is to have a point of view and then to have people respond to it. And if it's indifference, that's kind of boring.
Then you failed. At
Yeah,
something.
and I'm like, it's cool that it's creating such a response. I think that's how I'm taking it.
And Boris, do you?
Well, so here's the thing that, I mean, it's funny because you say that you felt some hate directed towards you because of the character. No, maybe not so much towards you, but towards the character that you played.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, the fact is that, Songbird is not a villain, not in any way a nemesis to the player. We're talking about a character with whom the player is supposed to make a connection, enough of a connection to actually, go along with your story.
Yeah.
And go along with, the need that sort of Songbird sort of registers. Of course, there's a quid pro quo. There's something, there's a reward waiting at the other end, potentially.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't feel that Songbird is a character that people love to hate. Okay, in the sense that in the sense in which you can actually love to hate a villain, a nemesis. I mean, Kurt is the perfect example.
Highlight.
Actually, I guess the thing that I would say is that, with Songbird, we had a pretty clear idea of where we wanted to take the character, who we wanted her to be. at the same time, you know, we realized that there were sort of, I don't know, call it well, the shape of the character allowed for, you know, certain ways to take the character that would, you know, not necessarily make the character the most palatable relationship to have within the game.
Which I think is such a strong, like, creative choice. It's not, I think that's what's so cool about the cyberpunk world as I'm getting to know it more and more, is that there are no easy answers, there's no easy choices, and that's what makes it interesting. And I think that's very relatable, at least in my, like, life is not that cookie cutter. It's not, you know, oh, there's a good person and a bad person. There's shades of, depending on how you interact with any person, any relationship, you know, the hero could be the villain and the villain could be the hero. It depends on who's interacting with them, how and when. So I think that's a well-developed character in my opinion. And you just have to learn that, like, let it go. You can't control how people,
Of course.
how they receive you, you know, all the time.
I mean, but I know of people who really can relate to Songbird in some way. They love her, and the others like, oh no, she betrayed me. I need to kill her or something.
Yeah.
But like when you were already, you know, playing Songbird, did you have, when you were reading the lines, did you have like any specific like lines or moments that you wanted to, I don't know, change, you know, by you, that, you know, you were reading like, oh, I don't really like this line the way it's written, I'm gonna play it differently. Did you have any of those moments?
Don't look at me.
Try to remember. It's all a fever dream, so I don't remember. I don't think so. I think it was, I felt the entire time I was in really good hands, especially because I did not play the base game. I don't know all the details of what led me to that moment. So for me, it was kind of like swimming in a dark ocean. I was just like, am I doing it right? And it was a lot of trust that I had to put in Boris and Pierce and everybody who was there to guide me. So in that way, I didn't have that much of an opinion because I didn't know, I don't want to mislead the narrative, which is very carefully created. And I'm also a writer and moving it to filmmaking myself in terms of creating a story on my terms. So I really want to respect the people that have written it and that have created it, saying like, you tell me if we're on the right track. And so I didn't feel like I had a need or you know, the authority to be like, I don't like this. This one, how do you feel about it? It was more like, are we on the right track? And it was a lot of good back and forth, I felt like. So did I ever?
Likewise. No, you were very, you were very accommodating.
Because every time we're recording, we're in a different place at a different time. And so it takes a moment for me to be like, okay, where are we? Like, what's happening? Like, and so in that way, you know, there's a lot of catch up and you're just trying to stay.
I mean, that's sort of the tricky thing about VO, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're doing a series or you're doing a movie and you're on a set and the set sort of approximates the surroundings that your character is in, or is it a perfect rendition of the surroundings that your character is supposed to be in. And you have all these breaks and these caesuras, you know, where you get to sort of, you know, take your bearings again, you know, figure out that, okay, this is the time of day, this is the people that I'm dealing with, this is how I'm feeling, I'm in this place, this is what I'm going to do, this is my, you know, emotional vector or objective for the scene.
Physical state, like
and okay, you do the shot, or you do the scene, or you do a series of shots that are going to compose the scene, and then you break and you move, and you're taken out of that situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you knew exactly where you were while you were doing that scene, and then when you move to the next scene or set or whatever, you're somewhere else. In the VO booth, all you're looking at are comments that, you know, you may or may not read.
Yeah.
The director may or may not be paying attention to.
I don't see any of the
you're
comments.
moving
I
from
don't see any of the
and you're
comments.
moving from set to set without actually physically moving from set to set.
Yeah.
And you have to reset yourself. You have to get your bearings. You have to stop, take a breath, and say, okay, I'm no longer tired. I took a booster. I don't know. Somebody tweaked my, Chrome to give me a little bit of an adrenaline boost, and I'm no longer put upon and tired from scaling the building that I was scaling.
Yeah.
All of 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Or
20 seconds ago.
Or 20 seconds.
Now you're a completely
20
different
seconds
person.
ago. And yeah, and you're somewhere else, and you're doing something else, and your motivation has shifted rapidly, as it often does in games, and you've got to find that place, and you've got to find it immediately, or almost immediately.
Yeah.
So it requires a lot of imagination.
Yeah, you do a lot of that. Yeah, you've got to figure out. Yeah.
Which is super challenging.
I still feel that we don't do enough of that, actually. I still feel that, like, okay, so the production regime is such that, I don't know, we should be getting in the environs of 45 to 60 lines done an hour.
Yeah.
And that's our recording rate. And if we suddenly slow down to 25, that's money out the window, and so on and so forth. And so, you basically have to stay on your toes mentally at all times, to get those shifts in energy and in emotionality and so on and so forth, while still, sticking to the production rate.
Yeah. Thank you for breaking that down. I feel very seen.
But I mean, it's been part of my life for a long time, and I've hated it at the same time as I've appreciated it, because I don't know. I'm struggling to come up with a catchphrase, but the fact is that recording rates get shit done.
So did we change actually anything in Songbird after recordings with Minji or during?
You know what? We start recording really rather early. I don't know. A quest might be ready, or a default dialogue might be ready. I don't know, a couple of quests might be ready. But the fact is that, like, the remaining main quest, the remaining main quests along Songbird's story arc are still works in progress. I don't think after we started recording that anything super significant changed in how we wanted to shape Songbird. I know that there were certain intentions that we had at the beginning. For instance, I really wanted to bring out, like, we made a big deal about having Songbird be a Korean American, a Korean character, and at the same time, and when we made that assumption, when we made that decision, we really wanted something to appear in the latter main quests along the story arc that would actually tap into that. I don't know if you remember the Brooklyn sequence, the sort of series of flashbacks and so on and so forth. So I really wanted a scene in there where I don't know, you would be in your apartment in Brooklyn those many years back with your Korean grandmother actually speaking Korean to you, and while I don't know, making kimchi or I don't know, something.
I want to know why did you decide that? Like, what was the intention behind making her Korean American? I thought that was so cool.
Well,
it's K-pop.
I don't no, yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't honestly know. I think it was just one of those things that you decide to do it because it
fits.
It feeds. Yeah, it feels right.
You just
it's like, why not Chinese? Why not Japanese? Why not Vietnamese? A series of factors come together, and you find yourself making that decision.
And then I win the lottery.
That's an outcome. And you win, and some people win the lottery and some people don't.
I mean, I was, when I saw the casting call, I don't remember the details, but I do remember there was like the Korean American. Seeing that specificity was really just so fun and so encouraging. I've worked in the diversity area of Hollywood
Yes.
for a while, and so going so generic of like, we want an Asian character, and what does that even mean? And you know, do people get? And now it's getting so much more specific to integrate nuance. I think that's so great. It adds to the world. It adds to the character. Adds to the story. So I don't know. I just feel really lucky. It was really great to see that.
I wish we would have fleshed it out more.
Yeah.
I wish we would have tapped into it more.
We could always bring me back, Boris. I'm
Okay.
just saying.
No. So no. All right. So no. Okay. So let's hear your ideas. No.
We need to call Mike
Let's hear
Ponce
your
about
ideas.
that.
Let's assume that the ending where you get put in the passenger pod
Yeah.
on the shuttle, and the shuttle takes off, and you know, Johnny Silverhand's brain cries.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And I don't know, you go to the moon, right? So what happens to Songbird on Luna? You know?
She meets Lucy.
I think there can be such a deep dive of like the background of character, because it was really cool to talk with different fans and get asked questions about like how do you prepare for the role and things like that. I didn't know anything. Well, I didn't find out I was in Cyberpunk till I showed up. So that was
Oh, really?
yeah, it was all a secret. You guys are so secretive. But I discovered, and even in the process, I felt like once they explained who she was, I just kind of dove in. I was like, I relate to her so much. If they just give me the basis of her struggle, like I related to it a ton. And there are a lot of Korean American nuances that I think that I can pull from my own experiences that feed into the grit, the determination, the generational trauma, the things that make you like never willing or able to give up, even if sometimes the best thing is to give up. But you know, you're in such a survival mode. That's how I very much relate to my Korean heritage, and I'm still learning about that as Korean American. So there could be added depth and nuance to like her backstory or the way that she operates, and you know, moves forward from there. That I think is really, and that's what's so cool about different cultures. I mean, I'm learning. I've been in Warsaw for less than 24 hours, but I get such a different. I love traveling because it gives you such a different sense of the people and the turmoil people have had to survive. You can just feel it once you're in that place. And so I think that's so cool to add to story. Because then we don't have to be generic about anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
absolutely.
So you mentioned that you knew that we were looking for someone Korean American. You got the call, and you just knew that it's gonna be a video game, and that's it.
Yeah, and then nothing else. It was all a mystery. Until even when I got booked, still wouldn't tell me what it was. And I didn't know how big the character was and nothing. They're just like, do you want to take it or not? And I was like,
Why not?
do I? Yeah, there was a lot going on in my life at the time. So I actually almost said no.
Oh, but
'Cause-
we're glad you did.
Yeah, I know. I'm so glad I said yes. I'm so glad.
So once you found out about the character and got to know her, was it like also difficult emotionally, maybe with some emotional scenes with Songbird? So preparing for that.
I go back to the Korean thing. No, it wasn't.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
there's something that I connect with Korean culture. Even though I'm born in the States, I'm raised in the States. My connection to my Korean heritage is very distant in a certain way. But the culture that I've consumed through music and then dramas and film is taught me a lot about my roots. And then to see how rich the culture is in terms of storytelling, they really, very dramatic. You know, it's a very the music, everything is very, very emotional and very, very steeped in pain. So I felt like when I heard this music, since I was a little kid, I was like, oh, my people. Like, and I'm a very big feeler. I know how to, I cry very, very easily, maybe a little too much. My parents would be like, can you stop crying? I cry when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm angry. But it fed Songbird a lot because she's a very temperamental, very emotional character. So to me, that made me, again, connect to her really well. And it felt easy. I felt like I could release some
were
of
the
my,
character.
yeah, I was her, and I could like let out my feelings, and that's a great thing as an actor.
That's amazing.
To be able to do
you're
that.
perfect for the role.
I mean, I don't know. Everyone else can tell me yes or no, but yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it.
Were there any specific inspirations that you drew upon while voicing Songbird?
Voicing Songbird inspirations. I mean, the one that I had that I didn't understand was the big inspiration was Share Me. She was in my head so much, and like I could hear the graveliness of her voice, and she's so present and so, I don't know how to put it, but I say it's like actors who are generous. They're giving everything they have to a role. That intrinsically taught me a lot. Even because this is my first video game. I've done lots of commercials, and that's very different. We're like, hey, drink this vitamin water. But you want to be a real person, but she was a big one. I heard her a little bit more than I heard Gavin, and even Gavin, just how tuned in and locked in they were to character. I was like, oh, okay, I have to bring my A game. I have to be as good as possible to match these people.
So during the recording, you actually can hear different lines from different actors, for example, in a scene, right? So for example, when there's V and Songbird talking, you hear V's lines.
Sometimes, yeah.
It's tricky because it depends on actor availability. It depends on, I don't know, how the availability of various actors lines up in time. And so, you know, we'd love to be able to give absolutely everybody who comes in, you know, the lines of the characters they're speaking to, and those are read in if they haven't been recorded. But then there's also, you know, the sort of struggle between deciding who's going to go first. Like, okay, so you bring the V's in first, and then they're talking to air, and they're not hearing the other characters, and then all the other characters get to hear all of V's lines, or you bring the other characters in first, and in which case V gets to hear all the other characters, but then, you know, the other character, all the actors for the other characters are all talking to air. Yeah, so you know, sometimes you know, Jeremy and Gavin got Minji, and sometimes Minji got Jeremy and Gavin.
Honestly, from like gamer perspective, in Cyberpunk, I never heard a dialogue that was, I don't know, mismatched, or you felt that, you know, someone recorded first. It always felt like a proper dialogue.
Well,
so, well done, guys.
Yeah, but here's the thing: we get to cheat because we do pickups. So
Yeah.
So
that wasn't good.
Yeah,
We need to review
I mean, yeah, and I mean, we're guilty, as I think a lot of other developers are guilty of not treating pickups the way they should be treated, and that is that they should be strictly performance pickups, right? So in other words, you've recorded the whole game, you figure out where there are breakdowns in sort of, it's not really about breakdowns in logic, it's about breakdowns in emotional logic during character interactions, and you correct those. We're, I think, like most developers, guilty of stuffing a lot of new material or changed material into pickups, and so strictly speaking, in terms of, you know, performance pickups alone, they're a small percentage of the pickups that we do.
I mean, yeah,
but it is a cheat of some sort.
The game evolves, so it's nothing weird.
Yeah, well, yes, that's the counter argument.
Weird.
You know,
For us, it's not weird.
It's an iterative process. You know, scripts evolve and so on and so forth.
Well, there's times,
and that's one way in which it differs significantly, I think, from you know, television and film production.
It's
I mean, you
definitely
know,
a different
the
one.
fact is that, you know, you go into film production with, you know, a finished script. You don't do a lot of reshoots. If I don't know, I think most productions these days do reshoots, but
well, there's different workarounds. Yeah, you have to edit it.
But the fact is that, like, I don't know. I would say that, like, our pickups cover 15 to 20, maybe 25% of the script, which is probably not something that happens in television and film production. You know?
So, guys, I have a question. Is there like any message or input from Songbird that, you know, can impact players? Like something very deep that she would like to, you know, share with like regular people, like with us, right? So apart from like, you know, no, it's not just a game, but actual message to you.
I'm really curious what Boris is into, because like.
No, don't farm this off on me.
No. I'll figure out my.
Okay,
my
in the end, Minji, I mean, you know the character better than I do. No, all I did was, move her around like a pawn and so on and so forth.
But I'm curious what the original intention, because you're like, there's this character that you wanted to make and help work with me to execute. And I was curious what that intention was. Like, what was her essence or her message supposed to be? I'm curious from the...
I don't know. Okay, here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
I don't think characters should be messengers. Characters live, characters relate, characters characters have their desires and motivations and so on and so forth. And any messaging that comes out of that concoction is even more so on the part of the beholders than it is on the part of the creators.
I agree. I agree.
Um,
I think characters end up being messengers, but not necessarily with a mission to begin with. To me, Songbird is a really tragic character, full of contradictions and and I think that's the most relatable thing ever, because I think everybody is full of contradictions. I had this argument with or debate with various people in my life, and it varies based on if they're in like the creative space or not, because people can be very binary. They're like, you either love it or you hate it, or you wish well on somebody or you wish ill. I'm like, I disagree completely. I think we're walking paradoxes and oxymorons, and we're always in parallel feeling many different things. You can love and hate something at the same moment. You can wish well for them, but you could also be really selfish and like take from them, even though you want to be generous and kind. And I think that's kind of the overall representation of Songbird, is that she's complicated as we all are. And I guess what I would hope in her storyline, once I figured out what it was, because I had a hard time. I was like, wait, what's happening?
Well, that's what I was. That's actually what I was going to ask you. Do you remember at which point you basically realized that she is possibly one of the biggest liars that?
Well, Pierce kept telling me this, but it didn't register. I was like, okay, cool. Because again, we're in this mode of like...
Yeah, okay, I'm a liar.
Now we gotta, so I'm lying, but what are we doing here? Like, again, my brain was kind of always in performance mode. Okay, am I fighting something? Am I yelling at someone? So it didn't click until multiple sessions in, where I'm really seeing, oh, she said that, now she's doing this. And it was really, but the way I'm being guided to perform it, am I being like an evil liar, or am I being a liar out of survival? Am I lying because I'm so desperate to like, those are different to me. I think there's a difference. I've dealt with liars. I've been a liar.
Yeah, but that's just it. That, like, I mean, that's the way people live.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's what I was like, find me a person who hasn't done that. That's what I was challenging people in general. And these are actually things that I'm writing about in my own universe of like the true self beneath like the apparent self. This is how we present. Oh, we're so this, we're so that, I'm so lovely, I'm so helpful. But you have selfish desires. You have things that motivate you that are not always the most admirable, and they're not gonna let everyone know all your secrets and things like that. So yeah, to answer your original question, I don't know what her message would be. I would hope that in the performance of it being honest and it being, I guess, specific enough to be universal. I don't know if that sounds very... But do you know what I mean? Like, she's a real...
Purely oxymoronic.
Yeah, she's a real...
So no black and
Specific
white.
enough to be universal.
Yeah, she's very specific in her plight. Like, she's really struggling. And in that, and people witnessing that so intimately, have some level of empathy. You don't have to agree with what she's doing. You don't have to like it, admire it, or anything. It's just to understand it. I think that's all humanity wants more than anything. More than wanting to be like liked or admired, it's just be understood. And hopefully, I think that's what I like about good art. It makes you think about yourself. And it made me think, how have I been like her? And I have many examples. especially as a teenager, it was really bad. But, or how am I like her now? Or like, what does that mean? And it's just like pick myself apart in a good way, to be more empathetic, to be more kind, to be more just not as unyielding and so like severe. Like people are all going through their shit, like, you know, and you just don't know because everyone else, you're going through yours.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's kind of it for me, simply put.
So maybe some lighter topic right now.
Yeah.
Do you have any your favorite moments from the recordings, like funniest moments from the recordings?
The ones where like I get to be a little sassy.
People always ask that question.
I know.
But the fact is that, like, I mean, Cyberpunk, the base game, and Phantom Liberty are so goddamn grim.
Yeah, it's. I was like, where?
I mean, there's, you know, you do not. I mean, they're like, where's the comic relief? You know.
When I got to be a troll to V. You know, when we're building that camaraderie, the friendship or the teamwork or whatever, and I get to be a little bit, have more personality. It's not all mission focused. I'm like, are you really doing that? Are we really doing this? Like when I got to be a little bit side-eye to V, that was fun because it was a nice break from all the
Grimness.
all the grimness. That was fun.
Yeah, I also think, you know, when you look at Cyberpunk, for me, you know, you always have like very serious V.
Yeah.
Everyone is always so serious. And then Johnny, who is always pissed off, always comes with like a snarky comment. And that always made me laugh, at least.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess it differs from person, like a humor.
Yeah.
But Johnny, for me, was the, you know, the mood cracker, at least in Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
He has some good comments.
Yeah, Johnny's an outlet, and you know, certain. Again, the main storylines and the main character arcs are mostly grim, or you know, a vast section of them are grim, but you get a little bit of comic relief, I think, through minor quests and background characters like Ozab and.
Yeah, I didn't find my character to be the most fun one. But it was fun. I had a lot of fun.
It's pretty dark
playing
in
her.
general.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun playing her.
That's, you know, what's the most important, you know, to have this sense of accomplishment that you're, you know, you're happy with what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think that was, it felt so great to me. Like I didn't know how to gauge because I'm not a gamer. I'm not a diehard Cyberpunk fan. That's why I think it is so reliant on the fan base, not only from the developers and from the people creating it saying, yeah, we feel really good about putting this in the universe. That matters a lot. And then how it's received and do people believe it? Are they invested in it? That's how you know you did a good job. So that's been really, really cool. Because I can feel some type of way about anything and then everyone can hate it. And I think that art is a collaborative experience. It's not all about the creator. It's all about the people, also about the people receiving it.
And speaking about the job and, you know, career, I think myself, Alicia, and our community would like to know how you actually get into, you know, the voice acting, your career. How did it start?
How do you get roles?
I have no idea.
Was it always like, this is something I want to do?
No.
Okay.
This is a complete, happy, wonderful accident. And I'm so happy to be here. Like, it's such a surprise. I got into commercial acting because I have friends all over the entertainment and media industry. And I have friends, hi Ed, he is a commercial editor. And he was doing a commercial for a nail polish brand, and he needed a voiceover just to have a placeholder so he could edit the commercial. So he asked me one random night, he's like, can you record something? Because I do podcasts and I host, and so he's like, I know you're comfortable on a microphone. And then that was the beginning of it. He's like, you're really good at this. I was like, cool. I was just doing it to help him out so he can edit. And then from there, he recommended me for a job. I got it immediately. And then all these little pieces started to pile up of like, people kept hiring me for my voice. And I had actually heard comments since I was younger that I have a very unique voice. And you know, you thank people for a compliment and you just keep moving on with your life. I was gonna be a doctor, I was gonna do all these other things. And then this happened, and I just kept going with it because it was really fun. I was like, this is cool.
I mean, it is a fun job.
It is really fun. It can be really. I won't go into that here, but I have thoughts on the whole voiceover universe, especially now with technology. It's a very unique chapter we're going into. But yeah, no, one of the best jobs in the whole world. I didn't know I was ever going to do it, and the Cyberpunk audition was one of many that came across me that I had no idea I would get, because prior to Cyberpunk, I've never done a video game. I had never even booked a major like animation character ever, and I had auditioned for several by that point. I was just like, oh, this is not for me. I'll just be good at, you know, products and, you know, doing Google.
No,
or
so I guess now it won't be your last big voiceover job.
Hope so. Yeah, it would be cool not
Would
to
you
be.
like to do more video games now that you tasted that?
I would. I would be really, really open to it. Yeah, it would be so fun. Yeah, and people have been messaging me about things, but who knows what happens? I don't know what happens.
Would you like to come back to Cyberpunk if that would be a possible
Hell yeah.
option?
I mean, she's been pitching us Songbird as the main
Yeah,
character.
of course. Let's talk. You know, I would love to. Yeah, this is a very. I feel again like I won the lottery in terms of like how do you get your first video game job and it be Cyberpunk and to be a major part of such a great storyline. I just don't understand how that happened.
So yeah, now we have over 5 million playing Phantom Liberty. And you know, it's only a few months, so there's gonna be more and more people. That must feel amazing for you. And you are very active in the community, as I see you all the time on Twitter, for example. That's amazing.
Well, the artwork, I mean, I did not expect this to happen. And I know how I feel when I get really invested into like a film or a show. Yeah, I'm just enjoying it as much. And I felt very, I don't know what the right word is, just like uncomfortable or like wary. I was like, oh, if I don't do it justice, or if I show up and if I don't say the right thing, I get very self-conscious. Like self-conscious is the right word. So I was a little bit nervous, but seeing how kind everybody was and tagging me in all this beautiful art, like I'm obsessed with it. And I want to just thank people. At the very least you can do is like tweet back and say, thank you for, you know, the support. It's really wonderful. Yeah, so I'm having fun.
And Boris, how does it feel from a developer perspective? That, you know, now millions of players are playing.
5 million and counting.
Only Phantom Liberty.
On Phantom Liberty.
I mean, what can we say except that we're appreciative that, you know, the gaming audience out there has found our blood and toil worthy of consumption, you know. Yeah, and I don't know, worthy of actually. We're just happy that like people are giving us the time of day, you know.
Lots of time.
Yeah, lots of days and lots of time, and lots of you know, rehashing is the wrong word, but yeah, people are involved enough to be posting art and posting their feelings and so on and so forth. And yeah, we've come a long way since Witcher 1 days.
Yes, definitely.
It was just about comments on a forum, and I suppose the best the best summary is that we're speechless.
So we know Minji would absolutely do the same thing with Songbird. Would you do the same thing with Songbird as well?
The same thing in what sense?
Like, you know, with capturing, I know you mentioned at the beginning that we would like to flesh out some things more.
We would have liked to, yes.
Over, like, about that. Like,
yeah.
Would you like to do it again in the future?
No
Go back to the character of Songbird.
Or would you change
I would
something?
actually, no, I think, no. If we had to redo it, I wouldn't change a thing. I do, like, I'm inclined to say that we're not going to go back to the character of Songbird, because I think that we've completed her arc.
I'm sad, but I support. I respect that.
I mean, that's far, you can't overdo some stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, no spoilers.
Yeah, we're trying.
This is a live stream. There's nothing legally binding here. It's fine. I'll still campaign, don't worry.
All right, I think we covered everything for today. Do you guys have any final words for our gamers and community?
Final words. Thank you so much for all the love. Thank you for being so supportive. And I don't know, it feels really fulfilling. And it was such a, I don't know, it's not a gamble at all, but it's just, you make things with the most sincere, earnest wishes that it will be received well. And then when it is, that's like such a rewarding feeling, because there's no guarantee that it will be. But I will say, in terms of like working with CDPR, I was truly amazed, again, not knowing anything, how much care went into everything. And I do think that again, no guarantees. You can still put a lot of care into something. It doesn't guarantee that everybody will receive it well or like understand what you're trying to say. But I do think the success of it is a result of a tremendous amount of care and specificity and blood and toil, like you said. Was it blood and toil?
I see, yes.
Yeah. I got to witness that firsthand, and I respect that immensely. So it was such a treat to be part of this universe.
I think I'm most appreciative to all those people who might have been disappointed around December of 2020, who nonetheless have, stuck with us and shown a lot of patience and come back to us and retasted our offerings and so on and so forth and found them no longer lacking. And that was also a very long road. Phantom Liberty was sort of the crowning part of that road, and well, yeah, we're happy to have, I believe at least, regained a lot of trust that I think we might have compromised at some point.
On that note, I think that's a very good way to end it. So thank you guys for watching, for playing Cyberpunk, for being a part of our community. Thank you so much, Minji, to flying here to meet with us. Boris, for taking the time to also join us for the stream.
Yeah, and
Thank
see
you
you
for
next time.
having us. Yeah, please soon.
Hopefully.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I hope so.
Okay.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye, guys.